Motion to begin the meeting. Okay, our first item on the agenda is to welcome or introduce new members and guests. Do we have any new members here today? Are you a new member? Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the next agenda item, the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody could stand up, please. The next item on our agenda is a recap of the holiday membership drive.
All right, so for those of you who weren't present at, I believe it was last week's holiday party, what happened was we had I would say roughly strong attendance. We had almost 30 people come. And you know, it was good because unlike previous years, we had a core objective that we wanted to get done. We wanted to make sure that we were kind of emphasizing the community aspect of this drive. So we had holiday cards being made for everyone, all the new members and pre-existing members to come in. And it felt overall more engaging. More of the members felt like that they wanted to come back, and overall it was a good response.
Yeah, so I think going on from last year's, this year we had more organization overall. So going forward next year, we should try to keep that. And as we tried to discuss what we couldn't do, I think we should have a separate section for making cards for the holiday membership.
Yeah, like comparing it to last year, you know, even though we had more people last year, it was a lot more disorganized because we didn't really know what to do with all the people and like all that time. So like we had to come up with a bunch of stuff on the spot. But I think the amount of attendance we had was like perfect for the amount of events that we had planned. So I mean, I don't think there was really a lot of time where people had like nothing to do. So I think that's a plus.
I think one thing we learned is we would need more marketing next year since most of the attendees were seniors. So we should work on our marketing. Moving on to the next agenda.
Just super quick, I think on the holiday party, we did launch our toy drive. We are collecting new or gently used toys to donate to the Tracy Interfaith Ministries. And we have we have one set up in the library and one's gonna be set up in Starbucks super soon. So if you can donate and let other people know.
Okay, then moving on to the next agenda item, and we are discussing the path forward.
Okay, so I don't know if Shravan's here. I'm pretty sure Shravan's the one who came up with the idea for band. So for those of you who weren't at the last meeting, or I think it was 1 or 2 meetings ago, Shravan gave a presentation off of a communication platform called Band. And it had a lot of pros, which like would really help us in terms of like accelerating our communication and things like that. However, I talked to him and like we looked at it, and for the most part, it looked very similar to another platform that we tried looking at earlier, which didn't work, which was Slack. And it turned out to be even like more expensive than Slack. And also it just overall, it just doesn't seem like it's something that would like adhere to like MHCSD like regulations. So we decided it's best that we just stick to the communication platforms that we have right now, which is just email mostly. So yes, as for Band, we could, if there's any new information, we can reconsider it, but for now, it doesn't seem very likely that we can incorporate it.
Okay, then moving on to the next agenda item, robotics.
I do have a
and
comment if
discussion.
if I can be heard on that, on the ban. I'm really pleased and I want to commend the team, the council team of looking at it with the presenter and doing the pros and cons and analysis on the similarities that it had with Slack and whether it would be a wonderful platform. And I commend you on doing your due diligence on that and making a informed decision that we could stick with the platform that we have until something else better comes along. But I thank you for taking that step and doing that.
Thank you, Ms. Tingle.
Okay, if that's all that there's to be said about band, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is robotics and discussing the path forward. Do we have a speaker for that?
I think last time we decided or we talked about how other than providing volunteers, there's not much that YAC could do, and we could also help facilitate a slot for our summer program if they want to advertise more. So is there anything more to add on to that? Would you like to add anything? I know you were the presenter last time, so. Okay.
Yeah,
But
wait, Rishi, just to recap. So the main thing which we decided was that YAC can mostly just provide like volunteers, correct? Yeah, and then we also considered potentially incorporating it into the summer program. So yeah, okay. So I guess that's something we like we'll keep in mind for when we start planning it. I think we're planning on starting January or February.
Yes.
So whenever we start planning, I think that's when we'll get back in touch in terms of how you would like to like include it your club within the summer program.
Okay, so moving on to the next agenda item, which is concerning the council rotation.
Is that your file called roles and responsibilities? Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, after this meeting, we'll be having a rotation for council members where I believe 5 of the 7 council members will be being like refreshed. So we made a quick presentation off of, just like what it means to be like a YAC council member and like what comes along with it. So people know what they're signing up for before we open up like the signups. So.
okay, I thought, hopefully not to interrupt, I'm very sorry, but I thought it was 4 rotation. There's 4 seniors, correct? I thought it was 4 rotating out, not 5.
It's me, Rishi, Yash, David, and Deepthi.
That's 5, okay.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so this is the YAC council roles and responsibilities. All right, so just for those who don't know, before becoming a council member, you have to know like what the YAC mission is. So this is the same thing that's on the website. If you guys want, you can look through that. But that's like the general thing, which everything, we do in YAC has to adhere to. The next slide, please. Oh, it's just discentered. But one of the biggest things in YAC is context. So next slide, please. So, just some of the many people that you'll have to be in communication with as a council member would be obviously other council members, co-chairs such as Ms. Tingle, and then the fire and sheriff department. And then like we've had to talk to like the librarians such as Miss Kathleen for like the toy drive. And then obviously we have to stay in contact with MHCSD, so it's Miss Johnston, Miss Adamo, and Miss Will. Next up about being a YAC council member is when it comes to commitment. So yeah, in terms of time, it depends on the time of the year, depending on how many events we're doing. Around the time of the summer program, we have a lot of events that overlap, so it does get a little tedious. So during the slow months, you know, in like a month, which you can expect on like the slowest 2 to 3 hours in a month, which isn't bad. But when we start getting into big events such as the summer program, as well as helping other organizations like CVGCA, we've had to spend up to like 30 hours in a week to plan for events. And then on top of that, obviously you have to be on top of your like communication with people, with YAC council members, co-chairs, MHCSD, and then YAC collaborative organizations. So that would include CVGCA, that would include Mountain House United, basically any organization that you know YAC has ever worked with to help them out. And then the next up, another very big part of YAC is that we host a lot of events for the community. So we already have things like the annual events. So if you were a council member, one of your big responsibilities would be, do you want to consider, you know, running one of our annual events, which would be the YAC summer program, you know, which takes place during the summer, the YAC academics program, which runs throughout the school year. So like with all the elementary schoolers, the YAC membership drive, which was, you know, originally the YAC holiday party, which we used to get more members, the one which we just had like just a week ago. And then other small events that, you know, come up throughout the year, such as toy drives, cleanups, as well as events that we help communities like CVGCA, Mountain House United, and other organizations for, such as the Gerba event. And then also a big part of YAC is, as a council member, you'll have to consider if there's any new events that you would like to add. So obviously you have to take in insight from YAC members. You have to see if the events align with the YAC mission statement, which I showed you guys earlier. And then you have to also see if the events align with MHCSD protocols and expectations, because, you know, we have to make sure that any event we do, you know, has a purpose and we're not just spending tax dollars for no reason. I think this is one of the final ones, which is leadership, obviously. And so expectations in terms of leadership is, obviously you have to, as a council member, you're expected to be on site for almost every single event that YAC hosts. It's expected to, you know, arrive early, help set up, and lead people around you, as well as lead cleanups afterwards. So, and this isn't just applicable to YAC events. Like, we've also had to go to other people's events, such as the Gerba event. We like come in the morning, help set up, as well as stay afterwards to help clean up. So it's not exclusive to just YAC events. We also have to obviously manage the general flow of the event. So making sure that everything goes according to a specific timeline that's pre-made, as well as, you know, being very flexible. So if you notice that the environment isn't matching, you know, what it should be, then having to adapt to that and being able to make sure that the event turns out to be a success. Also, obviously, communicate thoughts clearly and respectfully. You know, it's been in multiple slides already, but you have to make sure that, you know, your opinions are clear and they're heard during the planning, and that you're also willing to compromise with others. Because as a council member, you won't be like the only person in charge of making changes. You have numerous other council members with you. So you guys have to communicate with each other before it's too late, and then decide on what works and what doesn't. And then there's other recording notes during meetings and workshops. So that's just a pretty small thing, but obviously coming to workshops, taking notes, sending emails, it's all just stuff that it's like a little things that add up into like being a council member that like you learn along the way. And then for any of you guys who want to apply for the council member position, there's a QR code there, and then we'll also send this presentation through email for anybody that wants to apply.
Okay. Just before we move on, I think we can take around like 5 to 10 minutes looking at our time to just fill it out if anyone here wants to. And just to reiterate everything, we don't expect everyone to already have like the qualifications and skills needed to be a council member. You can always learn. We just want to see like, what do you have, what it takes to be a council member? Are you committed enough? And yeah, so I think we can take around 5 to 10 minutes to fill out this form if anybody here wants to.
Yeah, no, Rishi, I agree with that on that part. Like, I think the biggest thing I'd say is that like you're not signing up to be a council member just to get free hours, because honestly, it's a lot of work if you're just trying to get hours. So it does take like a lot of commitment, and then you learn a lot of the skills that like, we're expecting along the process. Like obviously you don't have to know exactly who to contact for everything right off the bat, but that's all stuff which you learn like the longer you're a council member. So
And just to let you guys know, the form will be open until January 2nd, which is the week prior to our next monthly meeting. So you guys will have until then to clear your thoughts and make an response that you want for the form.
also, Josh, did we say we're gonna make decisions by the January meeting? And
I believe we did set up.
okay, so will we still be here in the January meeting? Yeah. All right.
I do have a comment when everyone is finished speaking.
Yes.
No, at the end of the presentation, I said I had a comment. You
Oh,
guys.
yeah, that's the end of the presentation. Sorry.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, it was the end of the presentation.
Well, first of all, I want to say that as always, I'm extremely pleased with the work and the dedication that you put into preparing what the roles and responsibilities for a council member are. And just the fact that you've done that even speaks volumes as to what council members get involved in and do. I'm glad that those notes will be sent out to those people who are interested. I'd like to get a copy of those also, and I know it will be part of our record. But you didn't leave a stone unturned. It is a great presentation, and anyone that is willing to or feel that they want to become a council member in YAC, which I think is a great opportunity to work not only with your teammates, but work to show your leadership skills and organizational planning. But one of the most important things is that you have set in motion what the expectations are, so no one would go into anything blindly. I do like the timeline that's been set up that, and you can go into that more as to when all the applications or show of interest, rather than application, I would prefer to say the show of interest is in, so the council and the chairs can look at things and make an informed decision. And you already put it there based on your interest, but also what you put into YAC so far, because you've had a chance, anyone putting into it or interested in being a leader or council member, they hopefully have been around and been a participant, an active participant in YAC. And those are all weighting factors. But your presentation, everything that you put into it is excellent. And I would say that there's no surprises for anyone who put into it. Everything is clear as to what the expectations are. And as per usual, I am very proud of the council, the team that worked diligently to put this together for presentation. You did a great job. End of comment.
Thank you. Do you think we could put up the slideshow again for like 5 minutes, just the last slide? Just so people can get the link.
And then also, Ms. Single, you reminded me, I forgot to like just one or two things is, first of all, is that the council, like the one like us, we only get to give recommendations on who we think the next set of council members should be. The final decisions are always made by Ms. Tingle and the co-chairs. And then the second thing is that usually it's calculated, like we decide off of, your attendance to events, meetings, how long you've been in like a member of YAC, and not just like signed up, how long you've been an active member of YAC.
Mhm.
As well as like your participation. Like if we notice, if any of the council members have noticed that in an event that, oh, you've provided insight or like you've helped in like what, like multiple things, like you've been more involved than other people, then obviously that's something that we're gonna remember. And it's gonna weigh in when like we give our insight to Ms. Tingle and the co-chairs.
Absolutely. Great.
Are there any questions about council positions, rotations?
And could you reiterate to them again, anyone who's interested, when the due date is available for the show of interest?
Yes, so the due date for the show of interest is January 2nd. So that'll be the deadline to fill out the form. Form will close after that.
Are there any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is discussing future agenda items.
So for those interested in the spring to summer term for a council position, what are the key responsibilities and primary events that you'll be responsible for is going to be the YAC summer program. And I know some of you are new here, but just to reiterate what it is, it's a 5-week program designed to educate and basically engage students, usually within the elementary range. In previous years, we've done K through 8, but obviously we're open to doing more flexible things. As a council member, you'll be one of the people in charge of making those kind of decisions. And we usually have the 5 weeks centered around different themes, such as health and safety, where we bring in the fire department, sheriff department to engage in activities, showing demonstrations such as bomb defusal robots, firsthand live
Can
CPR.
you hear me?
Sorry, what was that? Ms. Singh, were you asking if we could hear you?
No, I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute. I just want to know if I could be heard, but I was on mute.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can hear you. So just going back, aside from Health and Safety Week, we have Sports Week, which we show usually new types of sports to the kids, sportsmanship, maybe even things such as nutritional facts, things to maintain a healthy diet. And another more popular week, such as Science Innovation Week, Arts and Crafts, where we usually take hands-on experience from usually outside organizations. For example, the Robotics Club for maybe in the high school, maybe even teachers potentially. We're usually more flexible, and the kind of events that we do for that week usually changes from year to year. So those are one of the ones that you can kind of mess around with. And then obviously arts and crafts, same thing applies. And then for the last week, occupation week, it's one of the main ones where we're gonna rely heavily on external contacts, where this year I think we reached out to Mr. Ortega in the San Joaquin Delta College. I think he's a dean there. And he came in, showed skeletal structure along with some, I think, I want to say, I think there were TA professors in biology where they showed the skeletal structure of the human anatomy. We also brought in a architect where we showed basic construction and things of that nature. But usually that's where as a counselor, you would come in and try to reach out, help focus and maintain the timeline for these kind of events that usually span from anywhere from 4 to 5 hours per day, 3 days a week. But usually I think after last program, what the council thought up of was we came up with a document where we thought of what went right, what went wrong with last year's summer program. So as a new council member, we're probably going to have to like show you that document and probably share it to the general council, but I'm general YAC, where we thought up of ideas such as splitting the program into 2 one for the younger audience, because we know that's a heavy majority of our attendance, and one for the older audience where we can, kind of diversify what we show regarding the content of each week. But obviously that's something for you guys to come up with in future months. And I think starting January, we're probably gonna get the ball rolling on that.
Are we still doing the weekly? Yeah, so we'll also choose week leads for each week of the summer program. So if you're interested in any specific topic, make sure to apply so you'll get leadership opportunities there as well.
So
And then, wait, Josh, so my bad, sorry. You also brought up a really important thing, is that obviously, like, you guys aren't, if you get chosen for council, you're not gonna start all the way from step one. We're gonna most likely, I mean, all like the documents that we do have still, all like the forms, sheets, docs, everything, we can probably compile it into a folder, which, the new council can use, as well as, Sayukta and Pranavi, they already have experience as council. So I guess that's one of the benefits that we have of not having a full council refresh, is that Pranavi and Sayukta already have experience with a lot of the stuff, so they could also show it to the other council members.
So that would be our first agenda item for our next meeting. And another agenda item would be, again, the academics update. So coming back from winter break, of course, would be restarting the academics. And for those of you who don't know, the academics.
I do have a comment when you finish. I do have a comment that you were talking about for the summer camp program and going forward. I do have a comment
But what's your comment?
when you finish. Do you want me to give the comment now or?
Yeah.
Okay, with the summer camp program, which is an excellent overview, leaving documents in file for the council members that are still in place is always excellent. However, I'm hoping, and we can discuss it, if there would be maybe a couple of the seniors. I know will be getting ready for exiting out of high school, and there's so many exciting things going on. But if maybe a couple of you would be willing to be like an advisory, you're not taking up a lot of your time, but an advisory, since we will be bringing in 5 now potential new members, but being somewhat of an advisory for any type of hands-on, because you do walk away with a wealth of knowledge. And the only thing that I want to add too is that in considering upcoming council members, it's always a good idea to bring in different grade levels, because that's where your longevity and stability is, where people collect data along the way and you end up being a SME, a subject matter expert on a lot of the things, where you are such a valuable entity, like all of these people who are exiting, a valuable member in training and mentoring others to come up in your footsteps. So that's another role too, that needless to be said, is that being a council member, you're setting a role, you're being a role model, keeping data and helping mentoring others along to walk in your excellent footsteps. And I do believe the co-chair, Linda, Ms. Pinckney, is on, and I think she sent a note that she doesn't have access to audio. So I'm wondering if she has any questions and or comments, if she could put it in chat, or could we check to see if there's any way that we can get her in on audio? But thank you for indulging me. That was the end of my comments.
Thank you so much. It doesn't look like Ms. Pinckney has any questions in chat, but I think we'll keep it open just in case she has any. But just going back to what you said regarding training for us seniors, we'll definitely still be around for training the new council, acting as an advisor of sorts for you guys. But for the most part, just kind of look to because I know the first few months is probably going to be the toughest, where you're just kind of easing into your responsibilities. But you know, the first event is going to be not until summer, so you guys should probably get the hang of it by then. And in the meantime, you know, if you guys really want to put your feet in the water, then you know, usually have other events coming up, such as I think CVGCA. We usually do a Holy event during spring. Usually around springtime, we also consider creating a whole new event, just as we did in fall. Obviously, that's not always a guarantee, because that kind of depends on the workload of the council of YAC, whether you guys want to take it on. But those are just options that you guys have. Obviously, you guys can also work to expand the academics. That's always an ongoing project. But yeah.
And CVGCA for the January meeting, which is the next meeting, they've already contacted, and you're talking about future agenda items, they've already contacted YAC and would like to participate and be in the next meeting in order to show that their gratitude and bring some type of refreshments for you for your next meeting, and extend their gratitude as to what a valuable asset you are for the community and their organization. Those are the kind of footprints that YAC is making on the community.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Tingle. So moving back to what Rishi was saying about academics and our future agenda items. So after Thursday, this Thursday, academics is going to be closed for finals and winter break. And we'll reopen again in January. So there might be some changes made depending on how we want to make the sign up forms, or like just expanding in general. But for now, that's just the general update on academics.
So just to recap, our future agenda items would be starting up planning for the summer program. CVGCA, I think we said would come as a speaker. And then we have updates on the academics and where we want to go with that. So is there anything to add from anyone here?
And I think Mountain House United in January, they would like to come and see how we are progressing, or any feedback on the youth talent show.
Okay, so MH United too. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's yeah.
For MH United, we're gonna have a meeting a little bit after winter break, but right now we're taking a break because of finals and
Okay, if that's all for future agenda items, we're moving on to public comments. Do we have any comments to be made? Questions? Clarification?
Sorry.
I believe it's Hulu.
Oh,
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, then motion to adjourn.
Oh, who's going to report out for tomorrow for board meeting is tomorrow?
I was thinking, since it's like our last thing, like me, Rishi, Yash, David could probably do it, and Deepthi,
Yes.
since it's like our last one.
You do it as a team effort?
Yeah, we'll like do it together.
You know what? Can I say something?
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
I think that is really excellent. You know what? It's working with this particular group. After time, you kind of start reading one another and on the same page. And I was sitting here thinking, gee, it sure would be nice if if one of the existing council members or the council members give the report out. And there's nothing better than you guys all being there in the boardroom and tag teaming and giving that final report as you're be facing out. I think that's excellent. And I do support that.
Okay, all right, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, with that settled, motion to adjourn?
Oh, I
Second.
guess I have one other public comment. As you know, Miss Pinckney said at the end of December that she has other assignments and what have you. And she may not be. I don't know why we can't get her on audio, but I know, hope not paraphrasing anything that she might want to say. But it will be her last meeting that she's on today, and she has been so instrumental, I believe, in working with us and helping us over the last year and being very, very faithful. She is, though, as far as the time frame that we'll get together and collaborate for the future council, she'll be a part of that. But going into 2024, she's going to step down, and it would be nice, to acknowledge that fund tomorrow night and give her our thanks for her participation and volunteerism, as all of you are also doing. And I want to personally thank her myself for being faithful.
Thank you, Ms. Pinckney.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Okay, just before we end, I just want to ask if everyone has signed in for today. If not, come fill it in right now. Gosh, man. Here you go.
You guys are fantastic, because if I was there in the room, I would be bird dogging everybody. Did you sign in? Did you sign in? So thank you very much.
Of course.
Motion. Did we really do it?
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second. All right, thank you.
Motion passed.
Okay, so I will see you guys again. I'll be zooming in on tomorrow evening when you make the presentation on what YAC is doing.
Yes.
Thank you. And please, someone sent me the slide presentation, which again, it's great. If you send me the slide presentation.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.